Okay, welcome everybody to week 13. This is Monday here at Prescott. We're having a junior ROTC photo day. And let me see if I can blow this up for you a little bit more here. There we go. Today is photo day. We have actually a very professional photographer come in and take pictures of all the cadets. So today I'm going to be in here by myself. All my cadets are out getting pictures done and doing other things. I'm going to record here about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, going through our LE portion of the quarter. Our LE portion of the quarter is going to be Unit 1, Chapter 1, Introduction to Air Force, Junior ROTC, as well as lessons 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And these will be lessons that we'll have a test on here before the end of this semester. And actually lesson 4 and 5 will be one of your written tests for your semester test, because that involves attitude, discipline, respect, and ethics. So I want to make sure everybody is good to go on what is expected in a professional environment for those type of situations, and we'll be covering that pretty specifically. Okay, so let's see here if I can set all this up so I can see what's going out. Okay, and then I'm going to broadcast the actual presentation. Again, this is Unit 1, Chapter 1. We sort of skipped over this at the beginning of the year because you were in general, the cadets take a while to get things going, and they wanted to make sure they knew what was going on in ROTC prior to actually figuring out about what is expected in the junior ROTC world. Let's see, I am not broadcasting out yet. Let me see if I can show content here. Come on, baby. I love it when the technology works. There we go. I should be a small picture now, because you don't care that much about me. All right, so if you have your electronic workbook open, you can go straight to Unit 1, Lesson 1, the organization of Junior ROTC. First of all, I guess I need to make sure you know that in a test. The actual abbreviation, Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, is about a 1911 term. It's 2 or 3 years old, and it's pretty antiquated, meaning it's out of date. And even though it's used currently, the honest truth is this is sponsored by the Air Force, but it's not junior to anybody. I don't report to the ROTC of college. They're a completely separate organization to us, and we are certainly not Reserve Officer Training Corps. So that type of moniker or name is kind of out of date. It's one of the reasons here at Prescott, when I started it about 7 years ago, I came up to the idea of using Aerospace Science Leadership Academy, ASLA, because in actuality we do teach aerospace science, and I teach leadership through that. I don't have anything to do with an officer training corps. I wish they'd change that name. It turns off some people. But this is pretty much what we're going through with this chapter. It's kind of long chapter. Organization of ROTC, the military uniform and appearances, common courtesies. A lot of my hybrid course students are now starting to get into wearing blue uniforms like myself, and you need to know what is expected of you in and out of uniform. And also, what is that last statement there? What is a military ball? We are coming up to our military ball. That will be third quarter, right around Valentine's Day, actually. So that'll be a fun thing, and we'll talk about what's accomplished in there. The last two that I said will be part of your semester test: attitude, discipline, respect, principles of ethics, the core values, integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. That's our Air Force core values. Here you need to realize that when you start wearing our uniform, that you are a member of a organization that is bigger than yourself. And we'll talk about some of the history about what the cadets can learn and do, and also what the chain of command is. This is kind of a background of what I was alluding to before. In 1911, I think it was Wyoming, is that right? Yeah, Lieutenant Edgar R. Stevers organized it in Cheyenne, Wyoming, which has a big, back then, Army base, but now Air Force base. And he organized this for high school students, military training. This is actually before World War I, if you think about 1911. And it worked out real well in the Army world. And you can see that the military was directed to establish junior ROTC programs in all branches around 1964. And then in 73, females were permitted to come into our world. This is the basics of our junior ROTC program, is that it's a 3-year program. So truly most units, not ours, because we're kind of unusual, but I just simply have an AS1 for freshmen, AS2 for sophomores, AS300 for juniors. We kind of let you go in any of those arrangements, just like Military Studies 100 is generally freshmen or first-year students. You can be a junior, senior. Military Studies 200 we'll be offering next year will be for those who have had a little bit of experience in our world, either through my PE classes, which are the first-year equivalent to Military Studies, or Military Studies 100. The requirements for our program is to have 100 students, or 10% of the population. This year, I think our number is like 172, which is greater than 10% of the Prescott High School, with our hybrid course students also. 9th grade or higher, we have occasional requests to go into middle school. That does not happen. We can't let the middle school students participate. This is by law, obviously. And the fair distribution of programs nationally, what that means is if you're trying to start up a unit and starting it up in, say, Arizona or Texas or Florida, they have a lot of units. There's actually 64 units in the state of Arizona. If you really want to start one and get to the top of the parade, you can go to Wyoming or Montana or Idaho, where they have one. And that way you would be guaranteed to be at the front of the list there. These are some generic numbers. They're bigger now. Junior ROTC Air Force, these are Air Force, started off with 20 units there in 1966. And you know what? I'm not 100% sure where those original 20 units were. Maybe somebody out on the internet can tell me that. Right now, in 2000, say 10 or 11, recently, I know that we're over 110,000 cadets. And I believe we're about in the 850, 870 numbers as far as our Air Force junior ROTC across the nation. Across the world, there's 3,500 junior ROTCs, Army being the biggest, and then I'm pretty sure Navy and the Air Force are about the same, and then Marine Corps is, of course, the smallest. Our simple mission is to build better citizens for America. I don't see anything in here that says recruit. I don't want to recruit you guys and send you off to Afghanistan, and I don't really care about what you do after life in high school, but I do care that you have a purpose, you have a goal, and you're proceeding towards those goals. Here at Prescott High School, I do meet with absolutely every one of the cadets underneath my unit after their grades for first quarter, which sort of just happened, and I'll also meet with them after the grades for third quarter to see how they're progressing. If you guys that have been in my office, in the colonel's office, you're not in trouble. I'm simply talking to you, and generally the first question is, hey, how are your grades? And the next question is, what do you want to do after high school? And as you've seen in one of my previous lessons, my highway through high school, You got to have a clue about what you're doing after high school to see if you're accomplishing that goal. But that's what I want you to do. Is I want to build better citizens for America, and I want you to have personal responsibility and a sense of accomplishment finishing high school, progress on with your life. You can see straight from these objectives, this is how I run my ROTC here. I require community service. I don't promote it, I require it. I insist on self-discipline, character, responsibility, citizenship involved in your community. And of course, all of these classes that we teach are aerospace science and leadership, and we teach about the fundamentals of citizenship. Just about all of these we come through. Look at that, military studies. And that's actually the first time I've ever seen that, military studies. That's why I'm having my military studies 100 class. But you can see that this actual lesson right here, we're talking about the history of junior ROTC, falls into a couple of those. Personal behavior, responsibility, citizenship, ethics. Here are some of our activities that we do in ROTC. Here at ASLA, we have a military ball generally every third quarter. I'm praying that it's not snowing up here in Prescott. We do fundraising projects, just like one of our projects is to raise money for the honor flight, to raise money to send World War II veterans to Washington, D.C. We also raise money through our orienteering meets. Athletics, we had our orienteering varsity team. Actually, this past Saturday, I took down to Lost Dutchman State Park outside of Phoenix, Apache Junction. Color guards, they're, good gracious, I think 50 events this year. And drill teams, honestly, we have not had a drill team at our ROTC for 2 years. But if any of the cadets would like to take initiative and do that, I would certainly support that. Chain of command. I'd be willing to bet that in your vocabulary for your testing, you will have to be knowing the chain of command in junior ROTC. And basically, we're teaching you about junior ROTC, but truly we're teaching you about life, because this exists in any not only military organization, but any job. I am truly paid not by the Air Force, but I'm paid by Prescott Unified School District. So my chain of command is Mrs. Totsie McCraley, who is my principal. Lieutenant Colonel Bill DeKemper is paid by the principal, so he has that chain of command. And then technically, I am his department chair. But again, we're kind of cohorts in crime and work together. Any job you have will have a chain of command. We're going to go through some of the job description organizations that we have in junior ROTC. And again, I'm not preaching or teaching that only this is the way to go in the military. These organizational charts are based on the Air Force, but reality is it works for Walmart or Google or any other organization that you might be part of in the future. To organize an operation, you need to identify the skills. Again, for high school students, you're trying to get a job and you have never worked with students or kids or little children, and applying for a job at a counselor at the summer camp might be kind of difficult for you. But if you've maybe been in Boy Scouts, for instance, or with younger people, then that would be great to apply for that. You've got to find your skills. Here is how our Cadet Corps is organized, and this is AZ 2006-3 this year. Again, with 170 plus students, we still have what's called a group. So technically, my commander is a group commander. He is a lieutenant colonel, not a colonel. But if you look on the vocabulary, think, and let's see, how do I do this? Maybe I can stop the content. Okay, guys, Chapter 1, Lesson 1, we have the vocabulary. This is the Biggest part of your test is the vocabulary in all of these lessons. And I think in this lesson it says group, squadron, flight, SASE. You must know what those are as far as the organization of junior ROTC. So, on the test, you can see that groups would be 2 or more squadron, squadrons are 2 or more flights, and flights are 2 or more elements. Element leaders are, at least in our ROTC, are the ones who report in and take roles. Flight commanders are the leaders of the individual classes, and they record the grades for us. They record the absences. They inspect their troops for their uniform grades. Squadron commanders, we have 3 squadron commanders in our junior ROTC. Very, very similar to this. We have an operations group commander. We have a logistics commander. And there in the middle, the typical wing, it talks about a support group. We call that mission support. And that's kind of a typical ring that I copy-pasted when we started this, and it's kind of migrated a little bit. But this is pretty much how it's organized for our junior ROTC also. You can see the deputy commander has money. Comptroller is called money person. You have public affairs. We have that. Logistics, special projects. I think at the beginning of our junior ROTC, I specifically asked my cadets, who is the SASE? And the SASE should be me, the senior aerospace science instructor, designated by the principal, but generally it's the highest ranking individual of the people working in the junior ROTC. It says selecting commanders and staff. I do not solely select my commanders here. The commanders apply, they interview, and Colonel DeKemper and I talk about it, and then we actually go to Ms. McCraley, the principal. So she's involved in this as far as our commanders. The cadets run the show. The cadets that run our ROTC are a member of our SAL flight, which is Senior Academy Leadership. That is our first hour of the day. And they come in and they do all of your money and fundraising and organization for our parties, our military ball, just like our Veterans Day coming up here this weekend. We have a parade going on. We have a Veterans Wall going on. We have a Veterans Memorial. The cadet organizational structure basically mimics the Air Force one. And we still have little name changes here and there, but it's kind of migrated, and a lot of the cadets have offered the suggestion. As long as they've made sense, I've accepted them. Let's see. I have a PEP. I think I've done 2 in 7 years, and maybe that's not enough, honestly. But no, 3. I do remember 3 situations. That is basically a on-the-spot promotion that I have done for cadets who have done outstanding stuff. For instance, we were at an orienteering meet about 4 years ago, and orienteering meet is where you start at a start line, and you take a time, and you run out with your partner. There's 2 people on the team, and you go for 2 hours in a large area, say 2 miles by 3 miles, anywhere from 2 to 6 square miles of rolling terrain, and you try to locate these points, and you get values for each point you're at, and you try to come back to the start line within 2 hours. Everybody's running crazy. Well, our cadets actually saw somebody fall off a cliff because another team was taking a shortcut they shouldn't have been taking, and he, no kidding, dropped about 40 feet off a cliff and injured himself. And he was blowing the whistle for emergency, and nobody would listen to him, and his partner left him. And so my cadets actually went and rescued him and lost their part of the competition. I mean, they gave up their competition to rescue him and brought him about a mile through the brush to the start area. So on that day, the next day, actually Monday, I spot promoted those kids 1 rank because of it. Let's see, another promotion I did, which was an outstanding situation, was right here in this actual room I'm in, this dome boys gym is what we call it. I'm in a studio here in the boys gym of Prescott High School. It's a weird roof, and snow does not stay on the top of it very often. It stays on the top and it goes zing out, and it can hit you. Well, about 2 years ago, we actually had a student get wiped out by some ice and snow coming off the top, and one of our cadets was right there with them, just happened to be walking by, and basically gave them first aid and assisted them to the nurse, and we rewarded them for a step promotion for that. We have a written policy on appointment and rotation. That's part of a cadet handbook, which you'll be covering also this year. And cadet grades, we never call them Major Johnson. It's Cadet Major Johnson. That's the proper protocol. You can see these type of grades. This is very similar to what we do. This is what we do, but we allow you a little more flexibility. The bottom line is that the first year cadets at Prescott High School, let's see, and I can actually put this on the board here. You have to, for first year, you can equal E4. And basically, quarter 1, 2, 3, 4 is the same thing as E1, 2, 3, E4. And to get those ranks, you have to pass my class and do all your community service. So basically, it's a passing grade equals a promotion. And that's for the first year. After that, second year, E5 and above, it's testing and community service required. To be an officer, you have to accept a position of greater leadership responsibility. You have to interview for the job, and you generally have to be in our SAL flight, which is our leadership flight. Okay, so here's our review. Straight through. Gee, that'd be a great test question one. Where's the first junior ROTC program? Be Wyoming, 1911. That'd be a good idea. Gee, that'd be another great question. What year was Air Force units established? 1964. And we might also want to ask you these vocabulary. What is a group? What is a squadron? What is a flight? What is a SASE? We have SASE, and then we have ASI. We don't call him anything but ASI. And generally that is the sergeants. I'm pretty sure that we're the only junior ROTC out of 3,500 in the world that has just officers. It just doesn't exist. Some other units may have 3 and 4 instructors, and they'll have 2 officers and maybe 2 enlisted or something like that. But we are very, very rare. There's no one else that has just two employees and 2 officers. We got a waiver for that. All righty. So there's a summary, and that is lesson 1 of chapter 1. And I tell you what, I do have time. Let me go ahead and press on, and we will get into the uniform and appearance. Tell you what we'll do. We'll get into the uniform and appearance on Tuesday, and we'll be covering the vocabulary on that. That'll be on page 17. While we're here, why don't I go through the why don't I go through our announcements, and we can see what the cadets have put up. Oh, by the way, we had some very good press for our junior ROTC last week. That's the Titan Missile Museum. I've talked about that before. Here is our article. This is for our military studies class that commutes out to my school. There they are. At least some smiling faces there. I see Legarsky. I see Ponce. I see Gokenauer. All these guys. Poole. Johnston. Mr. Gary Lagoy actually had a big part of this article. And so it talks about you guys out there doing well. So make sure your mom and dad and people know about this fabulous article. It's out there, I think it was Monday. Last Friday, excuse me, it was. I haven't sent it out. So we have a celebration for that. Okay, and then on this day, France and Great Britain shared war. We have a historian nut who does the announcements for us, and they enjoy it. We have lots of color guards coming up because we're getting into color guard season, honestly, with the Veterans Day and then Christmas coming up real fast. At least, I don't know, some of these days are 2 and 3. So, 8 or 10 of them next week. This is Honor Flight. We're trying to raise money. We're challenging each cadet to raise $10 to contribute to the Honor Flight to send a veteran from World War II from Arizona to Washington, D.C. Cadet of the Month competition is today at for the hybrid class kids at 4:30, but 3:30 for everybody else. Be a good competition. I hope everybody does well in that. And we actually have a veterans wall here at Prescott High School where you honor the veterans of anybody who has been in the military. And we'll be working hard on that all this week, actually, after we get through the pictures. And we have a flight challenge between different flights. Matter of fact, legendary leaders, why don't you challenge one of the other flights like Sal? Or, let's see, what would be another comparable one, actually, would be our PE classes. Be fun. All righty, those are all the announcements. And I'm going to get back and stop the let's see if I can get back and actually do this. No, I can't.